Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty crazy news to go and cover and a pretty good in-depth report of everything that's been ongoing throughout the gaming industry as a whole, all throughout 2022. Now, for some people, they like the financial stuff. Some people like the overall numbers. I am definitely one of those people. Sometimes I'll throw those on my channel itself, but as well as also very cool to kind of see the big shifts of what's happened when it comes to who is buying what, where is actually being bought, where the revenue's coming from, and basically everything all in between the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. And everything all in between. Now, 2022 was kind of a weird and strange year where we're still kind of on the pandemic, but also kind of not in the pandemic at the same time. And that has also kind of changed up a lot of terms of spending, inflation, and everything else all in between. So it's going to be very intriguing to go look at these numbers and as well kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive. So I'm going to talk about this because this is cool stuff. And as well, like I said, there's a lot of just big kind of changes that we're kind of getting used to in terms of, say, like digital downloads and disc editions and all that. So let's go talk about it. As well, if you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, a keep-on sales, I guess, future giveaway, and the Twitter and Twitch stream down below. We also have the Amazon links and Target links too, and let's go do the big deep dive of everything that happened over here in 2022. So as I mentioned, there's been a lot of big sales, and some good game companies are very on top of looking at these analytics. One of these is actually the GameIndustry.biz, who I sometimes like to reference in my videos because they have pretty good in-depth infographics and kind of explaining what's going on. So they actually had a chance to go do a full-on review of 2022 where they have the annual information and infographics returning to basically go and give the best-selling games, the biggest like mobile markets, global revenues, and everything in between. Now, as I've mentioned, I love this type of stuff. I love having a chance to review these and look at these pieces of data, so let's go and look at this and review it. So basically, 2022 has been a big year, especially for the game industry folks who like to go do these types of analytical numbers too as well. And basically, I've had a chance to go do a deep dive of the stories in the past 12 months and basically go and highlight all the statistics of everything in the year. So basically, I had a chance to go and highlight the global games market. They also had the total box versus digital revenues, which is also very intriguing to see how the future of gaming is changing. The biggest mobile games publishers in countries by revenues and downloads, the best-selling games in the UK, US, and Japan, and the most covered games in companies provided by ICO, the biggest influencers, the most watched trailers, and pretty much everything, all the biggest things that happened all throughout 2022. So first and foremost, we're going to kind of go and highlight some of these. You guys can go and see from this, there's $184 billion, which actually went down from last year, which makes sense. We've seen a little bit less spending in the stock market, a little bit less spending overall, some layoffs, etc. And as well, there hasn't been as much hype of a year two for console and console generations. So with this, they had around $52 billion, or 20% for console games. Browser PC games were $2 billion. Downloaded box PC games were $38 billion, so let's go say around like $40 billion for PC. And then as well, mobile games were surprisingly at 50% of the market share at 92%. Insane numbers to go and see because it shows that mobile is pretty much the biggest gaming avenue as of revenue-wise as of now. It may not have the most players, but when it comes to whales and people playing all these games, etc., or even ad markets, it shows that they're pretty big. Although there was a big decline besides up on PC. Now, another big thing to kind of note is the box versus digital debate, where you guys can see with this one, there was around 5.8% for boxed sales, which was extremely low, only $10 billion, which is also even 10% lower than last year, while the digital had $173 billion for digital game revenue. So just think the difference between going to a Best Buy store and picking a game versus just downloading, say, God of War on the day it came out. And it's kind of a huge shift in terms of the overall economy, I'd say, because people just want to stay at home, just want to go and download games and make it nice and chill. Now we go to the best-selling box games of the year. We had FIFA 23 in the UK, surprisingly. Call of Duty right behind that. Then we had Pokemon, Horizon, and the other Pokemons. Lego Star Wars, which I'm still surprised on how well that game sold. Mario Kart Deluxe, which I'm surprised this game is still a top 10 after it being like 10 years old. God of War Ragnarok, which apparently wasn't maybe as big as we'd be expecting over here in the UK. But don't forget the game just came out for some of these other games too as well. Nintendo Switch Sports and Elden Ring. That was in the UK. Now Japan is a little bit more on the Nintendo focused, where they had Splatoon 3 as number one, also very kind of somewhat surprising. I feel like in America and YouTubers and Twitch streamers, no one cared about Splatoon. Pokemon Scarlet, number 2. Pokemon Arceus, number 3. Kirby, once again, Nintendo Switch Sports again. Mario Kart Deluxe again. Minecraft on the Switch edition, so Nintendo. Super Mario Party All-Stars, Smash Bros, and somehow the only non-Nintendo game in Japan as a top seller was Elden Ring. Very crazy to see on how big Nintendo dominated over here. They also had the United States, which was Call of Duty, Elden Ring, Madden, Lego Star Wars, God of War Ragnarok, and then the Pokemon games right after, Horizon, FIFA, and then MLB The Show. So it kind of goes to show that every single region had a similar vibe. Good examples, like say for the United States, we had still Pokemon, but also for them, they were number 2 and 3 versus 6 and 7. And same with this, they still had Pokemon available. So it's almost like they're pretty similar as a baseline, but kind of flip-flop depending on where you're at. Now, the best viewed game for Metacritic was Elden Ring for the, PS5 and everything else in between. And same thing with Postal 4 was apparently one of the worst games out there. And as well, it's kind of interesting to see the new IPs versus new releases. So, new releases had 5 over here from Sony, no new IPs, which is somewhat sad to see. This was kind of the year of remakes with God of War, Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, etc. Xbox did actually have a 4 and 4, interestingly enough for them, including Bethesda. Nintendo had 10 new releases, no new IPs, but we kind of expect that from Nintendo. EA actually had 6 new releases, though. Surprisingly, Take-Two had 9 new releases, and then Ubisoft had 4 new releases, and Activision Blizzard only had 3 as of now. So it kind of goes to show that a lot of games are more kind of focused on remakes and like new versions, I guess, new iterations of games, rather than new IPs. So the top mobile games, which is kind of outside of my market, was Subway Surfers, was apparently number 1. Garena Free Fire, Stumble Guys, Ludo King, and Roblox is all the top games for downloads. Look at how huge those download numbers are. The top countries are surprisingly outside of America, number 1 being India, number 2 being the United States, and 3 Brazil, 4 Indonesia, and 5 Russia. So it also kind of seems like a big difference between like United States as typically the top king as of the second, depending on what you're looking at. They also did go have the top game publishers too as well by consumer spending. So Tencent made the most with Activision Blizzard at $2.5 billion, which is mostly why Xbox wants to go and get the, Activision deal. Mainly because $2.5 billion of revenue for a year, it only takes, 20 years to go make that money back from the entire sale, let alone if you expand it and integrate it with Windows and your own everything else, plus all the other various games and deals too. They probably make their money back pretty quick. Now, the big thing was actually Pug Mobile, Genshin Impact, Roblox, Honor of Kings, which I've actually never heard of. Let me know if you guys have ever played that or heard that yourselves. And then the top countries for consumer spending, we still did go and take the cake here in the United States at $20.8 billion. And then Japan, funny enough, was right behind that, with China as well, South Korea, and Taiwan. So it's kind of interesting to see the top country for downloads is not the same as the top country for overall spending, and the United States is still king on folks spending money on this. Now, the most covered games, funny enough, was on Elden Ring, but that kind of makes sense. There's a lot of small tips, tricks, and guides, and also like secret areas and etc. Fortnite 2, which actually went down a lot from last year, kind of shows its overall huge impact. Well, it's still big, but not as big as expected. Genshin Impact went up a lot. Call of Duty was whatever. Last of Us went up. Minecraft went down a lot. Same with Cyberpunk 2. But that makes sense, although Cyberpunk did have the new TV show, which did go and rebump it up. And a few of the other various games too, which is surprising. Destiny 2 actually made the list. Same with Pug. Now, most covered companies apparently was Nintendo, probably with a lot of Nintendo leaks. We had the show, the movie more so, all the Switch Pro rumors, etc. Microsoft also makes sense with the acquisitions. Sony a little bit lower, although they usually like to have a little bit of a lower ride when it comes to all this type of stuff. And funny enough, Twitch actually made a lot more, although as you guys know from me as a Twitch streamer, not the best. Most viewed game trailers was, funny enough, the League of Legends cinematic at 140 million, which was ridiculous to me. Poppy Playtime at 51 for the official game trailer. Call of Duty, which was actually pretty big as well with the 40 mil. Same with the other Call of Duties as well at 30. Fortnite at 28 million in the new chapter announcement as well. League of Legends, Lil Nas X with his nice little song too for Worlds at 25. Fortnite right afterwards. And apparently the most discussed game up on Twitter was Genshin Impact. Final Fantasy 16, which also those both make sense, as well with the most retweets on them. Elden Ring 2 is up there, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of folks are talking about the game. Splatoon was kind of quiet, but they have a lot of retweets, and all the other various ones you guys can see. Something like Sonic Frontiers may have been more so folks making fun of everyone. Apparently one of the biggest top YouTube influencers was actually Athmal, as well with 1.5 billion views, with only 4 different games featured, and some other various people who I've never even heard of. I have heard of Athmal, though, before. Remember, the game with the most retail placements was FIFA, then right after that, Lego, F1, a lot of these sports-type games, Sonic, The Quarry, Callisto Protocol, Dying Light, and all that all down between. So it's kind of intriguing to go and see how the game industry was a little bit weaker, slightly, compared to last year, and how it still seems like mobile is pretty much taking over gaming, and how basically digital and box was completely different, where everyone's pretty much going digital at this day and age. So I would love to hear your thoughts and comments down below on all of this, because it was some pretty intriguing stuff, and as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, or $500 probably future giveaway. Twitter and Twitch stream down below. Amazon links and Target links too. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place.